All right, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Cooking with Dagabon. Today we're making a Caribbean-inspired fish fry. Typically, this dish is made with a yellowtail snapper, a red snapper, or a mangrove snapper. But today we're making it with these fish I got from Chinatown. I got 5 of them for $3. I mean, you can't beat that, hopefully. They look good, they smell good, fresh as it gets. Yeah. But to give you a breakdown, what this dish is typically you fry the entire fish, fins on, head on. Obviously it's scaled, gutted. You don't have to worry about any of that. But once it's fried, you serve that with some pickled red onion, some cilantro, some avocado. And this is a dish you actually eat with your hands. I mean, I don't know if that's true. It's a dish I eat with my hands. You'll see why when I get down to Chowtown later, but it is delicious nevertheless. If you had this before and if I made it for you, say something in the comments because a few of you have had this. But anyway, I grew up eating this dish as a little kid, and we would go to Florida here and there to visit my grandparents. If you ever go to like a good seafood restaurant with a Caribbean twist, Jamaican, Cuban, or just a nice restaurant on the water, they typically serve this for maybe to the $30 to $50 price range, eh, $30 to $40 price range, and it's normally like a specialty item, but it's absolutely delicious. And if you make it at home, you can get it for pretty damn cheap. All right. So to start this off, you want to make the pickled red onions first. This is because they take a long time to marinate. I mean, you can do it probably if they marinate for 30, 45 minutes, they should be okay. They will impart a lot of the vinegar and pickled flavor, but ideally you want to do these overnight or even 2 3 days in advance. And the flavor will just continue to develop and their texture will change. The longer they marinate, they'll start to get soft. And you know, it just depends on your preference. I was in a rush trying to make one video per day, and I only had about an hour to let these soak, and they're still delicious. So when you're cutting these onions, you definitely want to leave the root on until the very end, and that will prevent your eyes from crying for that like burning sensation. I don't know why it does it, but that's a trick I learned. Make sure you also cut from the north to the south, as in like the tip to the root or the root to the tip. When you cut an onion the other way, left to right, you call it, it's just like stringy and a worse texture. I'm sure there are a few uses for onion cut that way, but I personally found just root to tip always is best practice. If you see here, I'll cut off that root once I make all my cuts, and then it's good to go. So this is actually the recipe for the onions. Once you have them cut, make sure you remove that centerpiece. The center is it's like it's not gonna do you any good. Get rid of that, toss it. I guess you could save it if you want. I don't really have a use for it. Maybe turn it into onion powder, but I toss mine. Try to get that last little piece. Then I like to put them in a container and just shake it. It's an easy way to separate all the onions. Not perfect, but gets the job done. First, you're going to want to submerge them until you can't see the tops breaking out in white distilled vinegar. It's the best vinegar. I've experimented with a few others, and keep it simple. Then I like to add coriander seed, and this is going to give it like a really good, honestly, cilantro. If you had coriander seed, you'll know the flavor, and it just adds a different dimension to it. And then if you can get your hands on whole peppercorns, I think these are called peonies. They're the best peppercorn, but add a few of those in, not too many. A little strong. They do dilute with time as they soak. And then add in about 3 or 4 bay leaves per onion. It's gonna look like this. kind of see the ratios of everything, and then just give that another good shake. And then let that sit in the fridge. I actually ran out of vinegar, so use a little bit more than you see there. Now for the next ingredient, the cilantro. I like to tuck the little spare leaves in. It keeps everything a little more uniform, same size, a little easier to cut. I also like to save the stems if I'm making like a soup or, I don't know, some dishes, Asian dishes generally, but just put your cilantro in a bowl, put that to the side. Then you gotta take your fish, and the fishmonger or the guy at the fish counter, you want him to cut out the guts for you and descale it. Tell him to leave the head on, fins on, and then I always like to give him another rinse. Run them twice after you scrub them a little bit. Make sure the water runs clear, gets off any gunk or any residual of the internals. Now, this is actually my favorite part of making this dish. You're gonna score each fish 3 times, and you're gonna want to do a diagonal. You can kind of see the angle I'm cutting at. And no matter the size of the fish, you actually do these same 3 scores, no more, no less, and you'll see why that's useful later when I eat it. Make sure you're also careful not to go too deep in the fish. You really want to try and leave the bones and the spine intact, because when you eat it later, any damage to that will make it a little more brittle and will make the end product a little bit harder to eat. Not the end of the world if you damage it. Just go with the flow. Whatever works, works. A sharp knife is definitely helpful here though too. Once your fish are all scored, you're gonna make your dusting. I wouldn't call it a batter, but yeah, some flour. Enough to coat each fish with a little bit extra. Don't go crazy. And then be generous with your salt. A lot of people don't use enough salt when they cook. It's just a go-to. And allegedly, there's some new data that salt's healthy. Never shy away from garlic powder. That's all you need for this though. Then throw your fish in there. You don't even have to mix it up. It's really not a big deal. If you have a larger fish, you could do this in a Ziploc bag. That's what I typically do. Give it a good shake, and that should give it a pretty good coating. If it looks like this, you know you did it right. Not something I think you really mess up. I set my oil to 360 degrees. I also have a deep fryer, but I figured for this video, do something a little bit more, friendly to people who might not have a deep fryer, but put 2 inches of oil in a pan and make sure you leave enough room so it doesn't boil over. And then drop the fish in away from your body. That prevents oil from splattering back on you. Just another best practice when frying. After these cooked for about, I'd say 8 to 11 minutes, you could take them out, put them on a wire rack. If you don't have a wire rack, you could use paper towels, but a wire rack is preferred. You get a little bit extra crisp, and it allows that air circulation, which just makes a better finished product. This oil is going to be nasty. Once you fry fish in oil, I wouldn't use it again. I always save my oil, and then once I make this dish, that's the last of it. Here's my little technique for salt. You open up the top like this, and you'll see in the top right corner, you kind of do like a flick with your wrist. And it's like the best way to get an even coating of salt, and not too much, not too little. And make sure you cover both sides of the fish in that salt. Now, this is my go-to avocado cutting technique for this recipe. Cut it in half, knife the seed out, and then do very thin scores, and you'll see why that's useful in a second. This is also fun, kind of like a meditation, if you will. These are the parts of cooking I really like. Just the small, meticulous, but detail-oriented aspects. You know, it's like fun to just lock in for a few seconds and get that hyper focus. Then you're gonna want to grab the biggest spoon you have in the kitchen. The bigger the better. Obviously, if the spoon is bigger than the avocado, maybe a little too big. But yeah, you'll see how I use the spoon to scoop it out. You want to get really flush with the outer edge, I guess, of the skin, you can call it, and then just kind of finesse it around. If you do it right, you'll get a very clean peel, and then just press it down so they separate. Now it's time to plate. I mean, pretty simple recipe, not too many aspects go involved. I'm not the best at plating, so you'll see me try a little bit. At the end, I cleaned it up. Definitely an area of my cooking I would like to improve on. I'm here for flavor, so not the end of the world. Big heap of cilantro. You never get out enough cilantro with this dish. I mean, you'll be surprised how much you eat. Then go ahead and just grab yourself another heap of pickled red onions. Again, same concept. You're going to be eating a lot of pickled red onions, so grab don't shy away, you know. All right, it's time to eat. So we got our fish, the pickled onion, the avocado, the cilantro. There's only one take of this, so we better make it right. I should get a little plate for the bones. That'll be my plate for the bones. So the whole goal of this, you want to make like a well-rounded bite. Eat with your hands. Don't be scared. It's how you get the best bite. It's hard with your fork, and also easier to avoid bones if you eat with your hands. So I'm gonna bring this a little closer. And what you want to do is that's why you scored the fish earlier. You just take out a nice little piece like that, get a little bit of red onion, and then a little bit of cotto, and just honestly, holy, that's better than snapper. Damn, I'm getting after it, guys. You're gonna enjoy watching this. This is why I'm called Dagabon. So I don't give many manners to my. I don't even know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna keep enjoying this. I'm at a loss for words. It's so good. I don't think I'll make this with snapper again. 3 of these guys for $5. No, I mean 5 of these guys for $3. Really can't beat that. So like a nice part about this dish is the fish. I should get a napkin. I'll be right back. All right. So the nice part about this dish is like the fish, how the spine works. Have you ever seen like the stereotypical fish head or skeleton with the bones? Most of these fish you get, unless it's like a really bony fish, like a bluefish, you can avoid all the bones as you peel the meat off. And I'll show you what the skeleton looks like. This is so good it doesn't even need the cilantro and stuff. Damn. And this one came out a little bit more messy. Maybe it's because it's smaller and more fragile. But you're left with that. I got a few bones because I was rushing, but let's get back into this. You know, you can eat the fish eye too. Give this a little. Damn. I'm going to have to go back for seconds on those. That's good. This is a great part of it. So tasty. I got to run this back. Still don't know what fish these were. I never even looked it up. And it was all in Chinese at the market, so. Kind of want to eat the head. I'm not going to do it. Wipe off my hands, clean the counter a little bit. Got a little cramp in my leg. I'm going to stand up for the rest of this. Damn. Damn, there's bones everywhere. All right, maybe a snapper is a way to do it, unless you've been eating this dish for a while. Run this up. Oh, I probably got to sit. Am I out of frame? We'll get back. Damn, bro. That's so good. All right, no more yapping. I'm going to town. This is grade A. Class, straight class. I guess I should describe the flavor. I mean, so I don't know how to describe the flavor. It's not like a fish and chips. It's just like a crispy. Honestly, it's pretty unique. Like crispy, delicate, white fish with like really good savoriness. It's not like salty or anything. It's just like it's just tasty, crisp, tasty. The pickled onions. I mean, this recipe I've been perfecting since I was a little kid. Sweet, vinegary. They have a really nice the coriander seed. Just such a good flavor, and really takes it up a notch. You get those little black peppercorns, a lot less than the coriander seeds because they're pretty potent. But after sitting in vinegar, they dilute a little bit. Avocado, you got to be picking out the best avocados. No playing around there. You have a good avocado, you know what that tastes like. All together, I mean, just imagine like cilantro, avocado, pickled red onion, a crispy piece of fish. Kind of like a good chicken cutlet. I don't even want to say cutlet. Like, you know, chicken parm, but like the piece without the sauce of the parm. Chicken cutlet. Imagine that, but like seafood. Really good. And then just with like all those good flavors, you know? Thank you for watching. Um, get ready for tomorrow. I don't know what I'm making yet, but I might figure that out. Peace.